Hi everybody, on this video I'm going to be telling you about some of my favorite movies to watch to have some inspiration and getting in the mood for playing Dungeons & Dragons. It doesn't take much to get me excited to sit around the table as a character or as a GM ready to play D&D. But every once in a while I like to throw on a movie the night before to watch, or maybe just that day while I'm cleaning the house or getting the table set up to find a little bit of inspiration, something big and fantastical and epic to really get me in the mood to play the game. The movies I'm going to talk about, look, it's not Lord of the Rings. I love the Lord of the Rings series, and lots of people can throw that on and talk about how inspirational it is. So sure, go out and watch that if you'd like to. But what are some of the other things that we can go to that are fun and epic and have lots of stuff to draw on? Well, here's the things that I like to watch. First of all, I love the Conan movies, the old Schwarzenegger Conan movies. Conan the Conqueror, Conan the Destroyer, and yes, Red Sonja. Absolutely. I love to throw these on. I grew up watching them, so sure, there's a nostalgia factor there for me. But also, they're really solid movies to watch to draw some inspiration or get in the mood to play. What I like about the Conan movies is you see characters that really aren't necessarily great people, right? They all have the different reasons for what they're doing. Some of them are arguably bad people, or at least they're criminals, but they're criminals because they gotta do what they gotta do. And yes, look, these movies have some problems with them. Some of the things that they show, they're from a different time. And I think it's okay to admit that things that you love have problems, but that doesn't mean you're not allowed to love them anymore. We've talked about this on social media and some of the other videos that we've got, so that's something worth mentioning, but I'm talking about drawing inspiration to have a great session. The Conan movies put these people together, and they have a reason to be staying together, and they're absolutely epic. We see infiltration, and they're trying to sneak around, and sometimes that doesn't go right, and of course we roll for initiative, and combat ensues. And the Conan movies are great for showing big, sweeping, epic, kind of ridiculous combat. I like the way that they incorporate magic into what it is that's going on. There's a mysticism, and the world building in the Conan movies is fantastic. And of course that comes from the books. I highly suggest going back and reading some of the novels, novellas, and short stories, all those kinds of things of the Conan stories. Especially if you're maybe looking for some inspiration for world building as a DM, the Conan stories, I think, absolutely does it right. These movies are so much fun for me, and watching the fight scenes and watching the combat is a really cool way, I think, to maybe describe in your session combat in a way that reminds you of what it is that you saw, so that it's not just I roll, I attack, I do 12 points of damage, but we're narrating what we're doing in a really fun, cinematic Schwarzenegger kind of way. It gets my blood pumping, and it's something I love to go to for inspiration before I start to play. Another movie that gets me in the mood for playing is the movie 13th Warrior. Now again, this is based off of a book, Michael Crichton's The Eaters of the Dead, which I really enjoy that book as well. It's a combination of Beowulf with this historical account of an Arab emissary who meets a bunch of Northmen. Now, the documents that Crichton based the book off of have been proven to be false, and they're a complete fabrication. But you know what? I don't care, and it doesn't matter. It still ultimately translates into a ridiculously fun D&D party led by Antonio Banderas. Well, kind of. So the story is about Antonio Banderas' character, Aben, who is he's a poet, and he's in exile, and he encounters a bunch of Vikings, Northmen, and they're at a wake of sorts when they find out that they have to go back home in order to deal with a mysterious threat to this village. What's really neat here is it's a great first session because it's the story of how all of these different people come together and make their party. Sometimes that can be difficult. It's a reason why these characters know each other, or the characters that don't know each other or even the characters that don't like each other, have a reason to be a cohesive unit, to all be a part of the same party, and they're sticking together. And it kind of can help you from having that one character slash player who's sitting in the back corner with his mirrored sunglasses going, well, I'm my own person and I'm no one's hero and I'm gonna go it alone. Well, it's kind of hard to work collaboratively like that, so maybe find a fun reason to stick with everyone. And the 13th Warrior shows us that. There's a lot of really neat scenes and there's a lot of cool combat, as well as story building, understanding the culture, and there's mystical qualities, even if there isn't really magic. But you can check out the movie and see for yourself. One of my favorite scenes in the movie that I think translates perfectly for D&D, they're stuck in a cave. There is some combat that happens, but ultimately the party realizes that they need to retreat and fighting isn't the answer. What a wonderful idea for a party to think about. And on the way out, they have to figure out how to escape. And it's not very easy, and there's a pretty cool way for your GM to get rid of some of those magical items that maybe the players are relying on a little too much. It's a great scene. You'll know it when you see it. Lastly, the movie that I can throw on at any time, whether I'm getting in the mood for D&D or it's just a rainy afternoon or I want to turn my brain off a little bit. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and that's the 1983 movie Krull. If you've seen Krull, you know that it is ridiculous and it's a little over the top, but it is so much fun. And hey, it's got a young Robbie Coltrane and Liam Neeson's in it, so go and check that out. Yes, no, I know I said the name wrong. Liam Neeson. Whatever. Again, it's a really simple story, straightforward, perfect for your D&D system. A young prince and a young princess are going to get married, and then the big bad guy shows up and kidnaps her, and we must save her. Our hero goes on this adventure and he meets different folks. He's got this wonderful wizard and an old seer and sort of just I don't know, maybe he's a cook? What is this guy? He's really smart. He knows stuff. I don't know. It's pretty fun. Definitely an NPC. We meet rogues and fighters and mystical characters, and there are ridiculous moments. It's epic and people take their job seriously, but it's also fun and silly. I mean, this wizard turns himself into a goose on accident because, I don't know, magic is crazy. It's so much fun, and I love to go to it. The fights are fantastic. There's a little bit of science fiction involved. Like, the movie opens up with a spaceship castle, and we know that there's other planets, but whatever. Once we get into it, it's solidly a fantasy movie and help kind of start off a lot of these fun sword and sorcery movies from the 80s, which is a lot of what it is that I'm talking about and I love to go to. And there's other ones that are out there, Snake and Hawk and The Beastmaster and all of that. At their core, Krull, Conan, The 13th Warrior, what all of these movies do is they give us a reason for all of the fun and epic battles. Our characters are interesting, and maybe they're not the most complex in the world, sure, but we understand why they're doing what they're doing, and it's a hell of a lot of fun to watch them do it. Whether it's sneaking into a castle, or carving up a giant snake, or hacking their way through weird bear Neanderthal people, it is a lot of fun. So what are some of the movies that inspire you or that you like to go to in order to get in the mood to play D&D? I'd love to hear about it in the comments below, and I'll go and check them out, and I'll let you know what I think. What did you think of this video, and what other genres would you like to hear about? I had a lot of fun making this and thinking about the different movies, and so I'd be happy to do another one maybe about what I like to watch to get into the mood to play Shadowrun, or to play Tales from the Loop, or to play some of the sort of space opera games that are out there with Savage World and Fate. That'd be a lot of fun. Tell me what you like to watch, and I'll absolutely go and check them out. Huge thank you to everyone who comes by the channel. If this was your first video, welcome. I'm glad that you found us, and hopefully you'll get a little bit of inspiration for your own game, either as a player or as a GM. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you can get notices. A huge thank you to all of our Patreon patrons. In particular, I want to give a special thanks to Joan and Bryce and Sean and Arvy and Lainey. They're some of our great backers and patrons, and if you want to continue to help us make more stuff and better stuff and have more to talk about, well, then you can be like those folks and head over to patreon.com/rollforinitiative. So until next time, this is Roll for Initiative. I'm Ryan, and I'll see ya. Thanks. Bye. I just recorded this video, but didn't hit record, so let's try again.